Hello and welcome back to the Nordic Takedown podcast. You are listening to episode 66, and today we'll talk all about teaching Star Wars Unlimited. I'm Jonah, and I'm here with Adam.
Hello. How you doing?
Great, good to have you. Excited. Actually, this is going to be my last podcast episode. Not forever, but in Trondheim, because I'm moving. I'm finishing my degree. I'm really excited for the summer.
Yeah,
But
and this is
it's
my
not
last
just...
in a lot of weeks.
Oh yeah, you have a lot of vacation plans, so
Yeah.
savor this one. But you will have Adam back sooner rather than later. But we're not just the two of us today. We also have Gustav with us. Welcome back, Gustav.
Thank you, and hello everyone. It's been a while since I was on the podcast, so it's going to be fun to do one today.
Was your last appearance on the live pod?
On the live pod at GotCon.
Yeah, that was cool. Great to have you as well. Today, as I said, we'll talk about teaching. First, we'll do the catch-up, see what's going on, and maybe depending how much time we spend on teaching, we'll have some spoilers. We are getting closer and closer to Legends of the Force. How many weeks now? A month until pre-release?
Roughly a month, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. All right then. So Gustav, maybe we'll start with you first, since we haven't heard from you in a while. What have you been up to?
Well, my life has been lacking Star Wars Unlimited a bit since Lille. It was that
but
a bit over a month ago.
You did go to Lille, so maybe you could talk a bit about that, what you played and so forth, and if you enjoyed it.
Yeah, sure. So I played a Han to Data Vault list.
Nice.
And it started really good. I won 5 in a row. And then I got my first loss against Beton, Adam's teammate. I was like, when I got paired, I was like, oh, this is going to be rough.
Yeah, that was the game after he beat me.
Yeah. It was also pretty funny because he did this recap video, or he and Zip. And when they talked about our game, we remember this game a bit differently. I think he was like, yeah, I played this Moss and I got it to 8-8. And I was like, no, I killed that Moss on spot. Yeah. So one of us is remembering this a bit iffy, but
yeah.
But it wasn't really close. I think I had a fleet on top. If I drew that, I would have won game 1. So first game was pretty tight. The second game, he just ran over me. But I wasn't really prepared for the matchup. And, when you face something that you don't really know what to do, you just try to figure it out when you play.
It's not a widely popular deck in Sweden either, so it's not something you can just draw from Membrance either, right? It's just...
No, you saw it some during set 2, right?
Yeah.
Because it was then they popularized the deck, I think.
Yep, that's true.
They won PQs, if I remember correctly, with it. So you had to draw some of it, but since you're also a mirror, you have similar plays, but some stuff are different. So I didn't manage to figure it out on the spot. So that's all I have to say about that. But then I had 2 losses in a row, so I went out. Couldn't make day 2, so I dropped out. Had a little bit of a wonky judge situation.
Yeah.
Where they tried to change the outcome of the game from round 5. And that kind of screwed up my mindset. Because it took 20-30 minutes to resolve this. And then when I started playing again, I was kind of out of it. So maybe I could have gone to day 2 if that didn't disturb me. But I'm super happy with my performance. I went in wanting to go win, not lose more than I win.
Yeah.
So that I did 5-3. I think that's pretty good, considering how much or how little I practiced
Yeah.
for the tournament as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, day 2, you and I did a lot of these.
Oh yeah.
What did they
The
call
best
it?
of one on-demand side events.
Yeah, on demand side events. Just grinding tickets, and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Just doing a bunch of.
Yeah, and you played some Luke Tarkentown, didn't you?
Yeah,
That
look,
day.
Tarketa. Probably the
Ooh.
deck I worked most on before Set 4 was released.
Mm.
So it was fun to play that a bit. And I also bought a showcase from Jasper,
Yeah.
Norwegian guy. So I had to got to show that off.
Nice.
But yeah, just grinding stuff and getting stuff from the prize wall.
Yeah.
2 play mats, some promos, and a deck box. I think that's the haul I got home.
Yeah, that's smooth.
But otherwise, amazing weekend. So fun just meeting you guys and other guys I've never met before, and guys from other cities in Sweden that you just meet like once or twice, and catching up with them, and also
Yeah.
playing after the event at the hotel.
Yeah.
So super glad I actually went to this.
Yeah. But before we pass the word along to Adam, did you have any Star Wars Unlimited break after Lille, or playing the showdowns?
Nothing yet. We got 2 showdowns coming up, but
Yeah.
I played at a weekly where we did both Premiere and Twin Suns and regular 1v1s.
Nice.
And then I got to play some Twin Suns this weekend, or got to teach a friend the game.
Cool.
So that's going to segue pretty well into what
Yeah.
we're talking about later. But no,
But first-
otherwise, not a lot. Maybe some organizing the cards.
Yeah, that's always needed.
Yeah.
I remember giving Adam the rant after I slept over at his place, like, why are your cards all over the desk, dude?
It's getting better.
Nice,
Because-
nice.
Getting a lot better, actually.
Yeah, but on the topic of teaching and showdowns, Adam, haven't you been playing some of those?
I have. I talked about the 2-1 last week, but I went to another one this Saturday on like our home arena in Monatosk. Basically, me and Jason was there. To be
Nice.
fair, not just me.
Yeah.
Was a decent showing, like 15 players.
Nice.
I brought the Ray Data Vault,
Okay.
which I had played a few games of. I think the deck is really, really, really fun. It's super grindy.
Yeah.
But I kind of like that, and it has like a pretty like clear win con against most decks. I think it took a while for me to figure it out, like how I wanted to play like with vigilance and restock as well to beat control. But since it draws so much cards and play around tech, it's just super bad. So just skipping that and just go wide and put out threats all the time, you can beat control quite easily.
Wow.
You can play like tech like 8 times because you can play tech normally. You can smuggle him. You can bring him back with home 1. And you can, when they kill tech, play Spark of Hope and put him back in the resource pile. So
that's nice.
Like, you really never run out of gas until the cards are out. So like, I think that's really fun. And I didn't really get that in the beginning. So, but so I played there. I had a 1 Ray Mirror. It went 1-1 into time. And then I beat some other decks. I can't really remember. I played Cad Tarkentown twice, which isn't an easy matchup because Cad Tarkentown is really good in the mid-range, but won it twice. 2-1 in Swiss and then 2-0 in the semis.
Nice. So you got to the final?
I went to the finals, and got to face Jonathan. That I have
Hyrax,
not
right?
Hyrax. Yeah, I haven't lost to him in a tournament since set 1 store showdown, and we faced a couple of
Oh,
times. That's he beat me with Vader Red at that, and I was playing Krennic, ECL.
wasn't it Vader Green?
Oh yeah, Vader Green.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah,
yeah, Vader Green. Yeah, and there was like this. It's on stream actually. It's just a
yeah,
bloodbath of me just not drawing anything, just removing,
yeah. I
and
remember.
he thinking I have something. But since he had lost a lot of times, he was now still green redding it. Boss Data Vault.
Ooh.
I won game 1. Game 2, he got a massive bounty claim. I had a Mon Mothma still on the board from early that he put first a death mark on, and I was like, okay, 4 cards is bad.
Yeah.
Then he flips his boss, and I was like, I stopped representing a threat, so he just played Price on Your Head and Bounty Hunt his Quarry on Mon Mothma, and I couldn't stop it, so he just double rammed through 2 cards and got a unit out, which
Whoa.
was too much to gather from.
Yeah, that's
Get
a lot
together.
of tempo. I
Game
figure Ray can't really catch up after that.
No, we don't. I do have. I had like a sideboard board wipe Nebula, the Nebula thing.
Yeah.
But didn't draw it in that one. I think I
Yeah.
had to resource it early. In game 3, it was super super tight. It went down to top decks. I really felt I had it, and then on 11 resources, he had this Walker that I was gonna manage because I had Luke, and then I get timely intervention Crate Dragon.
That's just
That is so tough to recover
Yeah.
from.
I was about to say that's devastating, but there's a card called Devastator, so I needed to
Which
find
is
another word.
also in that deck. So
Yeah.
so yeah, like that's been my SWUing.
Yeah.
Been also a little bit practicing with the Enigma, with
Yeah.
the new cards for Galactics, which I'm
Yeah.
going to now. It's kind of confirmed as long as
Nice.
the flight is not shut down or
Yeah.
we die in a miserable crash.
I wouldn't worry about that.
Then we are going to Vegas.
Yeah. Cool.
So that's cool.
Yeah.
Not jealous at all. Not jealous. No.
Yeah. Yeah, that's gonna be really, really cool to follow and hear how that goes.
Yeah, and like the whole thing is gonna be pretty cool. Like me, Kevin, and Niklas, and even Beton and Sip, who's also coming from the Enigma. We all have like the day 1 pass, so it's gonna be really cool to see what that day 1 event is.
Yeah,
that's gonna be some special for us.
Mm-hmm.
And we're also doing some extra stuff there, like seeing Grand Canyon afterwards and going to some national parks.
What?
So
Great.
that is going to be a really nice experience, assuming we're not crashing.
Yeah. You can stop saying that now. Don't make anyone scared here.
But yeah, that's basically what I've been doing. How about you, Jonah?
As I teased earlier, I'm finishing up my studies in Trondheim, so I've just been really focused on my master's thesis. But I have been a bit on the pod, following along in the Discord, just keeping up, even though I haven't been playing much. But I'm really excited to, by the next week's start, to play a bit more. Gonna go back to Oslo, so they have weekly Tuesday and Sunday, and we have the Moss Planetary Qualifier in Norway coming up, which is the 21st of June. So I'm gonna have to get some practice before that. So yeah, excited.
Have you missed the showdowns, all that's going to be around Oslo for this season? Or is someone left?
Yes, I think so. I think by the time or actually, I might be. I think the store in Moss that has the PQ has their showdown the week before. So next Saturday, the 14th of June. And I might be able to attend that one, actually.
Cool.
So we'll see.
I'm not coming. Yeah.
Okay, nice. Then my odds are looking a bit better.
a lot better now.
Don't underestimate the Oslo community. I think they are very capable to beat me.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I have. Oh yeah, I totally forgot. I have been playing Star Wars. I played just the other day, and that's on the topic of today's episode because I taught the game to 3 of my friends. So maybe we'll go into teaching now, and I think teaching the game is something every Star Wars Unlimited player kind of has to interact with at some point because everybody has learned the game. But if you are in the hobby, you listen to this podcast, or you play regularly, you probably really love the game and you want to share your passion, right? You want to show it to friends, you want to bring on, try to recruit some more players to your locals maybe. And the community is what makes this game so good, right? So you need to include people in it. And teaching is not always just... It's easier said than done. Like, it's very well known, for instance, for board games, that the most difficult part about the board game is learning the rules often.
Yeah.
Like, that's where you lose people. People say, okay, yeah, we can play a board game, and then nobody understands what's going on. No,
Yep.
I hear so many people have terrible experiences with board games, but it's basically just because they've never had somebody properly teach them the rules.
Yeah, you need to be
how
super
do we do
prepared.
that?
You need to be super prepared for like teaching rules in general,
Yeah.
especially board games. Otherwise, it's a snooze fest.
Yeah, exactly.
Card games are a little bit easier, but
Yeah.
you need to like really do it step by step.
Yeah. And it might be a bit easier because we play it so much, we know it in and out. But
And a lot of times you introduce it to card gamers, which makes it a little bit easier.
Yeah. So we thought maybe we would first talk a bit about teaching it to somebody who hasn't played trading card games. And then we'll say what's different if they have. Like, that obviously makes it easier, but how does it make it easier? Gustav, do you have any experiences about teaching?
Yeah, of course, a bunch of them, since I'm one of those that's running the game in Gothenburg. So I got to try my hand in teaching different people. And
so you also taught at the store?
Yeah, and we also had like new players like seeing, oh, there's a draft here. What is this? And then you just try to, as fast as possible, learn the game so they can join in on the draft.
Yeah.
So it's been a lot of teaching this year.
Yeah.
But like what I usually start with is just making them explaining the architecture of a card. Like, this is a cost. This is the name of the card. This is an effect. This is what they hit for. This is how much damage they can take. And this is a creature or a unit. This is an event. This is an upgrade, and how those stuff works. And then try to get into the flow of it. And how I usually approach, if I'm the one playing against this person, I don't try my hardest to win. Like, I want that person to feel the flavor of victory, just that first game. So what I try to do instead is present problems or puzzles for them to solve.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so this can be a card that might be hard to deal with. So I play this and see how that player interacts with it.
That's a really good approach.
Yeah. So basically, I can see that this they have a unit out that can 2-for-1, for example. So maybe I play a tiny unit and see if they do that.
I think you're onto a very important point there, and it's thinking about why, like, what's the purpose of the game when you're playing for the first time. And obviously it's not supposed to be a fair match. It's probably not supposed to be the most fun match either, but it's more about the two of you having kind of this simulation of a game almost, and really focusing on giving them some feeling of playing, some independence, but still getting help, learning the rules. How does this card work? Oh, I don't understand it. And also, as you said, if they feel like, oh shit, I made a really smart play, and oh, now I'm in the lead, I'm winning, like that feeling, that's probably what's gonna make them continue wanting to play.
Yeah. And also, like, you can also point out that people are different. Like, met people that are very strategically minded, so they can really understand the strategy fast, while others, maybe they just hit base all the time, and then you have to make them like understand that I'm winning this race now, so you have to be a bit more defensive minded here. So like, different situations with different players in teaching.
Yeah,
So,
I find that very interesting. Like, that's a very hard line to go, like making them have a chance to win or maybe even win without them feeling like you are treating them like noobs or like too noobish. I think that's a line where I have a problem. I usually, like, when I play someone, when I, like, since I'm so competitive, I don't want them to take it easy on me, because then I'm learning the game wrong. I feel like. But on the other hand, like, when you're new, I think, like, a first timer to a card game, I think that's very important to feel like you have a shot. Like, so that's why I've been, like, trying to give them better decks than me. So it might actually just be easier for them to beat me naturally.
That's a good one way of doing it. I think there's another way I've mentioned on the podcast earlier, and that is the resourcing. So if you are doing a one-on-one coaching where you're kind of playing against a player you're teaching the game, then you could just always resource really badly for yourself. So you have worse plays. And this way, if you are showing your hand and kind of explaining, with this hand here, it makes sense for me to play this or whatever, then you don't have to lie and do a suboptimal play for them to have a better chance against you, right? You can buy resourcing a bit poorly. You could kind of give your opponent an edge so they can have a more fun game and feel like they
I think I need to adapt that approach instead of just smacking people around.
Because winning or losing maybe doesn't matter, but it's very important that they feel like they have a chance and doesn't feel powerless, and I don't understand why it went bad, or right?
And that's why I think it's very important that you, even if you go starter deck or a normal deck, give them something that's fairly easily piloted. Like, maybe, like, if you go set 4, it's probably Vader yellow, like Vader in any color. You swarm, and that's kind of the leader tells you what to do in a way. Or if you go, like, kind of Sabine, because it's fewer, like, things you need to think about, and you feel a little bit powerful quite early because you're gonna get out early. You can, like,
get the head on the board.
You can play like a Vader ECL or something against them. Then it's going to be fairly close because it's a bad matchup. So
I think the starter decks is also a good point. Like, they are usually pretty balanced, so they can be good to teach.
You take set 1, because the villain are super much better. I was just watching it. Like, I was actually playing the villain version, and I was like, I have 3 super laser technician. I'm like, this is pretty good. And the Death Star Stormtrooper, I'm like, they are pretty good. And then it comes a Barrage, it's a Palpatine, like a Relentless. Like, I was like, this is pretty strong for being a starter. And then I look at Luke and I'm like, sure, we have Surprise Strike.
Yeah, but I think it's easy to underestimate Luke deck too, because if you are the aggressor, you often can get just more value by getting base and then traded. And Luke is the aggressive deck in that matchup.
Yep.
And especially if Vader doesn't hit ramp,
Yep.
then I would say Luke's very favored. But starter decks are cool. But there is also another way of teaching than this one-on-one way, and that is if you're more people that's learning the game. And that's the experience I had the other day, where I taught 3 players at the same time. And then we could have had 2 games going, but since none of them had played, I felt like it's better we just all play 1 game. So there were 2 players on the Luke deck, and then me and third player on the Vader deck. And then I kind of just started by talking through like how do we set up the game, and then just going through everything. And when I have some people who are like a bit into games, and then I often take kind of a structured approach in the teaching, where I say like, okay, when we start a game and write on a piece of paper, we do these steps. So you draw your 6 cards, or first you decide who's starting. You draw 6 cards, mulligan, optional, and then you resource. And then as we get to these things, I explain what it is. Okay, what is a mulligan? How does resourcing work? Let's look at the cards. Oh, they cost resources. Maybe you want to mulligan because you don't have any 2 cost here, right? So all of these strategic elements, they just come naturally in the conversation and in while we're playing, kind of. And then when you get to the phases, or like the, what's it called, action phase and regroup phase, then okay, what's the action phase? Okay, you do 1 action, but what action can you do? And then I write those. Okay, you can attack, you can play a card, you can pass, initiative, and then okay, what's the difference? Why would you want to pass? Why do you want to take initiative? So if you kind of always, while teaching a game, any game, you need to know who you're talking to. You kind of need to, it's easier if you know the person, so you kind of can find out how are you going to explain it. But if they are a bit eager and they have a lot of whys, and like, okay, why would I do that? Why would I ever do this? Then you can start to give them a little bit of the strategy, right? But I think it's important not to dive too deep, but because it's super easy to just go on these anecdotes like, yeah, but imagine if you're in this situation and you have a fleet lieutenant, then you can do this and this. But you also want to just play the game and let them do stuff and learn by doing, right? Not only these like what if scenarios. So you kind of need to strike a balance there.
Completely agree.
It's like some people might want to talk strategy a bit more. So
yeah,
it's one of those feel the room. How's the player taking in the information? How are they applying the information? Do they like to? Like some would think it's fun just to talk about the board state as well.
Yeah.
So it's very much a feel the room, feel the player. How are they taking in everything, and change your way of doing it compared to that.
And I think maybe the reason for us going a bit more into the strategic side of the teaching was because we were multiple people. So, for instance, the 2 players piloting the Luke deck, they were, of course, always discussing and like, oh, but this card, we could do this. And like, they were really looking at their decisions and seeing like, what does this mean? How can we do? Yeah. And that's, of course,
that's where you want to get like the flow
to
discussing it.
Yeah,
that sounds like fun.
Yeah, it is, but it's also very time consuming. If you're discussing every single action you're taking, it's gonna take you a long time. So
and also adding to this, it's very much like what are the goals for the player entering the game? Are they something they just want Star Wars, cool characters, I want to play Vaders and such, or are they people who really want to get into the competitive side of this game?
Yeah.
And that will also vary.
Yeah. But still, on like the fundamental level is, of course, we just need to get the basic rules across. When they know how to start a game, They know how the action phase and regroup phase work, and how this loops and loops until we have a end game criteria or somebody's base is destroyed. If they know all of these stuff and know mechanics, know the interactions, then technically they are ready to play. Then they can just read the card and okay, that's what it does, and go ahead.
Yeah, and I think that's super important to like say. Like I've heard a lot of people, because it's quite intuitive. A lot of the cards, like the game rules, are not that hard when you actually know them. You just read the card and do it.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of kids that actually snaps it up quite early.
Yeah.
A lot of parents like just teach the kids, and the kids can be like somewhere between 8 and 13, and they understand how to play the game. It's just, I guess you need to have the base level of English, like, but you could make a deck that doesn't have much of the keywords if you want to start very, very slow. But like,
Yeah. True.
I think it's like it is a fairly easy game to learn for being a card game. It's not easy
Yeah.
to learn a card game for the first time, but like if it's some card game you should try, I think this one gets you going fastest in a way.
And today we are mostly focusing on teaching the rules and like getting to play the game. But then, of course, there are many steps forward where, okay, you know how to play, but how do you get better? How do you
And
go
then you're
from
almost going
good
into
to great?
coaching, like
Yeah,
from teaching to coaching,
yeah,
which is quite
exactly.
different.
Yeah, and then it's probably more useful to be not one-on-one maybe, and have more being able to discuss plays, and maybe if you have a third party involved, so you two people can be on one side and actually look, okay, I would resource this card because A, B, and C, and then but then we have this line here and these turns could be really good. Yeah, so that's kind of the next step. Maybe, yeah, there's one thing I wanted to mention too, and it's a long time ago now, but I've also taught somebody the game using some online tools. I think I had a friend who was playing online against an AI, and this way they were kind of independent in what they did, or like, since the opponent, we didn't have to consider
Yeah.
their needs, right? And then I could just be on the sidelines and like, oh yeah, you did this, or maybe you should consider this, and explain if they didn't understand anything, and that. So kind of
That's
an
a very
honest.
good way to get the rules done, to be
Yeah,
honest.
You can't
Almost.
rule break against
Yeah.
AI unless the AI is badly updated or something like that. But you can't do after you can't rule break at least.
yeah. But then, of course, it's quite different when you get real cards in your hand. So that's my preferred way, probably. But it's nice
I
if you
think that's
don't
the
have.
most fun way, at least.
Yeah.
But I think like if someone is ready to get into it, but then you want to get a head start on the rules before you can meet, that is
Yeah.
an awesome way to
Yeah, and I
just
think
head
that
start.
can often be a bit valuable, because it can be challenging going to a store, having to attend an event, and simultaneously deal with understanding all the intricate rules, and right. So if you have this small preparation, maybe going to a sealed event would be much easier,
Yeah.
because that's maybe next topic, and it's like, what events do you start playing? For once, sealed probably easier than draft.
A lot easier. I think that one is definitely really good. One thing on when you're being new, like if there is that you're gonna meet up and play, like it's a booked date, there are like this easy how to play YouTube videos that you
Yeah,
could send to a person before, so they get like they could be like 5-7 minutes. Then they're at least recognizing some of the stuff when you're starting to teach
yeah,
on the beginning. But
yeah,
back to events, I think sealed events are usually only on pre-releases. But I think if you starting like say with a group of new people, it's quite easy to just say, let's do a seal together, like be the guy who takes the fall and play a seal with these new people to get them in. I know it costs a little bit more money since you have to buy 6 packs each, but it's kind of worth, in my opinion, if it means that you get more friends to play the game with.
And I know some stores do have some sealed events in the beginning of a set because of this reason, to kind of get the new players in and probably sell a bit more packs.
It's a business, but like it's good for both parts. All 3 parts, basically. The new player, the old players that want more players to join in, and the store wants to get cash. So
kind of sealed, usually the decks builds themselves, because you have to give some tips on how to build them, but usually you can only run 1 or 2 pairings of cards. So once you get out the cards and put it together, it's easy, and then you start learning your deck while playing.
Most of the strategy is probably just picking the aspects, right? As soon as you've done that, you probably play most of the cards in those.
Most cases that's the way. I think after playing some sealed events, or like just the one, I think the best way to get into it is just playing some Premier. Like, doesn't have to be an event, just get the games in. Because I think draft is so different and so much harder. You can jump into it early as well. It's not a problem. But I think if you just want to get to know the game, I would casually play some Premier first. I think for a new player, it's actually maybe could be as hard to start drafting as going to a store showdown, because drafting has another skill, that identifying some certain cards, which as a new player can be very hard because you haven't played.
And I think I agree with you there to some extent, that if you're playing Premier and going to Premier events, you have the comfort of your own deck. So you find something you like relatively early and you just stick to it. And you know the cards. You don't have to know every other card, right? And you know how it works. You maybe have some experience with it.
Yeah, that's how I play Lorcana. Like when I play with some people here, it's like I have no idea what the opponent's deck does. I know what mine does. And like when they show me a card and they just say what it's doing, and I was like, okay, cool, okay, this does this, okay. I'm just gonna play my card. If you say my board is wiped, then okay. Because like a card game can be very much to take in at one time. So I really believe in the comfort of your decks. Get to know your deck first before you can get to know other people's decks, basically.
Right, then maybe we will touch upon what if you are teaching Stars Unlimited to, per se, a Lorcana player or a former Magic player. What's different then?
I think one of the biggest things is they understand the architecture behind the card. Like, this happens when you play it. This is an effect. This triggers for something else. This is how you pay for stuff. Like when I've learned players that have played other card games, I usually move on to just the phases and how the action system works, because they understand the cards. And what's also good with Star Wars Unlimited is, unless you're playing with hyperspace cards, most of the keywords have explanations on them. So what does Ambush do? What does Sentinel do? And it says that on the card. So they understand also the concept of reading the card. So it moves on to the gameplay in another way when teaching players who play other card games. But then there's also like we had a lot of players that played Star Wars Destiny before, so they also understand the action system. You go, I go. So when teaching those players, it goes really, really fast. Like by minute 1, you have set up and started playing. Almost.
Yeah, that's actually true. I like it's the most easiest to the hardest thing to actually get all other card gamers to realize is the action by action part. They are just, oh, is it already me? Like uh all they like
Yeah.
they are used to do seven things in a turn, like that part.
Mm.
The other things most recognize, because unlimited is actually like they have taken a lot of great concepts and like smashed it together into an even better game. Um, but this action to action is from Destiny that isn't really a part of other card games unless you've basically played Legends of Runeterra, uh, the digital card game.
Yeah.
So that is like the new thing for players to really get around, and that's where
Yeah.
the sequencing, that part is like the
Yeah.
new challenge for even very good players in those card games.
Yeah.
So that was the problem with one of the guys that I played with during this weekend. Only played card games where you do your turn, doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Everything. Every time it passed to him was like starting to play two cards or doing multiple stuff. It was like no, one thing at a time. You go, I go.
Yeah. So I guess there are some pros and cons if people are really used to one way of playing and then they mix up and forget. But um, I think one thing that's very valuable if you're teaching somebody Stars Unlimited and they come from another card game and you know that card game, then you can really use your knowledge and kind of find some parallels and make the explanation easier. So, for instance, I've played Magic before. So, if I'm teaching a former Magic player, I could say, okay, you don't have lands, you have resources, and you get them by doing this. And you don't tap them, you exhaust them. It's basically the same thing. And kind of
Yeah.
map over words that might refer to a similar mechanics to explain things faster. Um, so that's also quite valuable if you can kind of speak a language that they understand.
Yeah, that's really good for them to not having to learn everything, like just parallels, as you said. And it only works if you actually know the card games. If you don't know their card game, don't try to do anything. It's like it's like, yeah, sure, but here it works. But if
Yeah.
you know, you can just let them call it that for a while.
Yeah.
Like it has a lot of parallels to many card games because there were
Mm.
so many card games basically.
Yeah.
So whatever to make them the most comfortable getting
Mm.
in, I would say, because in the end it's just about them starting to like the game.
Yeah.
Doesn't really matter what they call the different action phases or like things, as long as they do it correctly.
Yeah.
I think you can like start by using the words or the keywords like overwhelm is trample in Magic.
Yeah.
But you want to move on to the correct terminology
Yeah.
Yeah.
pretty fast. Otherwise, it's a disfavor, I think, not doing
Yeah.
it.
Agreed.
But it very much helps to make them understand what this is.
Yeah, and I think, like as you said, like with overwhelm and stuff, that is smoothed out automatically because they will read the card eventually
Yeah.
and say overwhelm. But like the thing that Jonah talked about, like readying or like stuff like that
Yeah.
in the regroup phase, things that are not named but has a name,
Yeah.
that's the one. But it's also that one that is the least like important.
And for Magic players, the order they are so used to their untap, upkeep, draw.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's even correct. I can't remember anymore, but yeah, that you ready last, for instance, in Stars Unlimited.
With especially Magic players, I think one of the more fun stuff that I always encounter is that we count up to
Yeah, you
30
can't
and they
damage.
count down. And it was hard for me to even wrap my head around that. Like my first competition, I just asked, "Do you want me to count up or down?" I rarely count down, but now I'm used to it. But it's
Yeah.
like everyone's started thinking that that's your health pool and it's going down, not up.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. It's a little bit counterintuitive in that sense, but on the other hand, it's also intuitive that you're smashing something and you're
Yeah.
showing the damage that's
Yeah.
getting through.
It's just getting used to it.
Yeah, exactly. Like these old guys playing Magic is stuck in their way. We have to reinvent some youth into these people.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So I guess we've covered a lot of different things about teaching. But what do you do if the player really likes the game? Like after the first teach, they're excited, they want to play more. Like, what do you do then?
I assume, since I don't have it, but I assume you invite them to weekly play if you have it in your
Ding, ding,
store.
ding, ding.
We're getting there in my city, I hope. But like, I would say that invite them to weekly play. There is usually these mini tournaments, right, where
Yeah.
you get these weekly boosters, and then you like add on to like drafts and showdowns afterwards, because that is the casual part of Star Wars Unlimited. And I think that's very important that the store has that casual approach to it, with judging, ruling, and everything. So it doesn't feel like the end of the world if you do a mistake just because it's a tournament, or like the weekly tournament, like anything like that.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with, especially with like showdowns, that there are ways to compete and scratch that itch in an environment that is more casual, more fun, and not as punishing. Like going to a PQ or regional, you're gonna face players that play very, very much, test very, very much, have testing groups, and are really good. Uh, and where like you do a rule break, you get points, or you can get a game loss and stuff like that. Uh, but
Yeah.
during a showdown, it's a bit more chill on that. It's
Yeah.
more focused on being fun, and maybe the best players don't take their best deck. They can maybe, oh, they have this deck that I haven't played that much and I want to try it again, or try it instead.
Yeah.
We're just like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna build something totally whack and just go for it and see how far it
Yeah.
can take me.
And that obviously varies for community to community how people do that. Some are really competitive on the showdowns and use them for like PQ prep, and other are like just play a bunch of jank homebrews. But I think the most important, as you already said, is that it's friendly.
Yeah.
That the whole vibe and everybody is welcoming and friendly, and make sure that it's supposed to be a good time and it's not that much at stake.
Yeah, I think if you are going there competitively, taking your competitive deck, you should just be very casual about like takebacks, more than normal, in my opinion. Even May effects, you should maybe point out if you remember them yourself, and just say, you can do this. Like,
Yeah.
just trying to make it a. If someone cheats, of course, that is a different thing. But all mistake, like honest mistakes, prone mistakes, should not feel like, hey, you get a warning, you get a point, something like that. It should be like, this is how it works. Like, for example, like we had at the store showdown, I played against one of the store owners,
Yeah.
Johannes, and he had been playing up to our game in game 4. With now there's 2 of them where he put his unit back onto the hand, the one he had, and just played the big one. And I was
Yeah.
like, I'm pretty sure you get to keep your first unit. And then like it's like, oh yeah, and I've done this all day. So like I think like, and instead of like maybe trying to, oh, he did a misplay, like I'm just gonna win because of it, instead just
Yeah.
no, this is the right way to play it.
Yeah.
Like that's the approach I think you should have.
Yeah.
now when I'm back at it, shout out to the Monatox Showdown for adding Carbonite boosters in their Showdown pricing.
What?
That was insane.
Nice.
I think I got 4 Carbonites for second place.
Wow.
And I think Jonathan got 6 for winning. It was insane. They are really generous.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to no hate for taking what you are playing best with on a showdown.
No.
I mean there's room for more stuff that maybe doesn't
Yeah.
can
for
get
sure.
a top 8 PQ, but it seems like everything can get a top 8 PQ right now. but it's more for room for more casual types of decks, more fun types that way. And the pricing usually isn't too top heavy. Like
No.
you can go there and usually they have 2 participation boosters and a bunch of promos. Maybe they have what's it called, lottery.
And as you
Something
said,
fun.
like, and it's prices for top 8, and the biggest showdowns are 32. So like that's a fourth that gets like the top 8 prices, and like, but most showdowns I've been seeing right now is lying around 12 to 17 or 20. So like if you're around 12, it's like, say we're 16, like half of players get you can go 2-2 and get like a Devastator promo, and maybe a booster or something. So not super competitive. You don't even need to feel like, hey, I have to go and win more than I lose or something. It's like you can get something without being on that competitive level yet.
But this time around, it's a bit hard to not go a bit competitive in it, because Devastator is nice to have.
That's
the
best
Mace was nice, but Devastator, like a real playable card for once.
Yeah.
So I'm doing 2 showdowns, so probably will be taking something I'm really good at least once, and then we'll see the other one.
Yeah. That sounds good. All right. That sounds maybe like we've found a natural close to the teaching discussion.
Agreed.
Do you guys have any new cards you want to shout out before we end the episode? If you've seen something you're really excited for, or
let me.
Now we'll have the awkward silence where everybody goes on SWU like,
exactly.
I've seen this.
I have to double check like the timeline of cards getting released, because I haven't.
It was quite a while we said something on spoilers in this one, so I think for me, I think I saw the Second Sister. Like it's a 4-cost yellow black villainy. Force Imperial Inquisitor. It's a 3/6 on attack. You may discard 2 cards from your deck. If for each Force card discarded this way, ready a resource. Like
that can be a big tempo swing.
Yeah, like it's better stat line than like Ahsoka and Kira. And if you can play, like maybe you start with like her surprise striking or something on the next turn, and then you discard 2 Force cards and you get your resources back or something. I think that depending on how much force you can have in a deck, you can probably play her with red, right? So you have force throws and force chokes, even though I don't think you want force throws in your discard pile. But I think like netting yourself resources is very strong in Star Wars, and she has the stat line that avoids both takedown and Fell the Dragon. Which means she actually needs to be hit or get power of the dark side, basically.
Yeah.
And also, maybe this is the set where playing discard from your discard pile becomes a main theme of a good deck. Like, you have good cards that can play cards from your discard pile, but it's not maybe the main theme of the deck yet. But with more stuff like this, maybe that becomes more and more viable to do.
That's cool. Do you have any examples, or
you mean with like a discard pile deck? It's like
just
salvage, Puppeteer's Return, plays cards from your discard
yeah,
pile.
yeah,
So more stuff like that where you can get back cards from your discard and play them again.
yeah.
But
Time
like
for Afra.
time for Afra. Finally, I got to
Yeah.
get use of that showcase.
I think
Yeah.
actually another card now when we're mentioning it is Dooku, the 4-cost yellow, 5/4 hidden. When played,
Yeah.
each friendly unit with hidden can't attack this phase. I think it's a pretty good stat line when it can't be attacked.
Oh
Obviously, it
yeah.
can be removed by card abilities, but any 4-drop can. So it's still like
Just a 5/4 hidden is quite good for 4
yeah.
resources, I think.
And I like that it can be played on both sides because Dooku is like
Yeah.
not good or
Before
bad.
he goes full separatist mode.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are pretty cool cards.
But we have to mention the new Darth Vader card as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So he's a 6-cost vigilance villain. And he has a when played, give a shield token to a friendly unit and to an enemy unit, and on attack, defeat an enemy unit with a shield token on it. I mean, ambushing this bad boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Takes
kind of
care
the
of
clear crazy value when you see the card, because then you find him.
I think if you switch like for Kira or Krennic or any of these blue-green villains,
Yeah.
he could be the card that makes you go back to ECL from Data Vault.
Mm.
But that's not quite sure. But like he is the one that would
Yeah.
do it because that's such a swing.
But I think also in non-ECL decks, if you just play 3 timelies, it's probably still a good card, because if you get into the ambush, it's basically defeat any unit.
Yeah.
So
I think the good part with him is that there are not that many good 6-drops, so that's why it could be a very power turn for blue-green villain. Like if they ECL him on 6 and then they follow up with Vader and Maul and then like Snoke's and Avengers. If you do the timely way, it comes on 7, which competes with a lot of slots. But I can see that work as well, right?
yeah, if you ramped,
Yeah, for sure.
could go nicely into a leader that deploys on 6.
Yep, getting like that massive board.
Yeah. So a lot of pretty cool cards and cool characters in this set.
Any card
Yep.
you've been eyeing, Jonah?
Not in particular. I do feel like it's cool to see the cycle of 2-cost 2/4s.
Yeah.
We haven't had too many of those. And we even have Gungi or Gungi.
Yeah.
2-cost 2/5. That's pretty wild.
Yeah, and it's a force.
Yeah, it's force and it's in command heroism, so you could play it in, for instance, Anakin Green, and you can buff him, hit for 4.
And he's really important if you want to play Anakin Green right now. There is not a lot of force units to actually value having force throw in, but now you can play Gunji and that Adiagalia. So you have 2 early drops that enables force throw. So I think that is boosting Anakin Green. If that's still better than blue, probably not, but like it's
blue gets a pretty decent amount of cards too.
Yeah, Jadal and Galia. It's really sick, actually. I think Annie is looking good for next set.
It's gonna be cool to follow.
Yeah, I'm waiting for Cal Kestis leader. I hope, really hope we get one.
We have seen
one of those games. Yeah, we've seen it on my card.
Yeah, and haven't you seen the ship?
It's the Mantis, and of course the sister card. Always forget the number. Second sister.
Yeah, Stinger Mantis. Yeah,
Stinger Mantis.
That's his ship. That's cool.
Yeah, so I'm feeling he will be a cunning leader. But it's not many, because it's 14 or 15 leaders has been spoiled, right?
Okay.
So it's not that
Not
many
many
spots
left.
left, but I hope they're saving him for last.
Yeah.
Or not
It's
for
the
last.
most important.
Yeah,
at least for me, it's just
we still have 2 cunning heroism leaders to get spoiled. So he could definitely be one of those.
you want to guess the other one?
No.
Qui-Gon is the first one, right?
No, but he's starter.
Yeah,
Doesn't count.
doesn't he? Like
No.
he can. Okay.
I don't think so for previous sets. Like there have been 4 leaders in each color plus the 2 starters.
I thought it was included in the starters that they made the 4th, but I'm not sure.
Maybe they've changed it from how it was. I can do a quick check for jump light speed. No, they still have 18, so 16 plus 2.
All right.
There's still going to be 18 cards because they also had Revan, who's only villain.
That's true.
Oh,
That's
how does
true.
that affect the cycle? That's a good
Probably
question.
one less. I would assume, since he's the villain one, I think was Maul green or red?
Maul is red, so maybe we
Red.
don't
So
get
maybe one
more
less
red.
red.
Yeah.
And
all right then.
maybe there will be like an only heroist leader.
Yeah, that could be cool.
I assume actually it will be. That's kind of thematically how they've been doing the sets.
Yeah, to kind of balance it out. But guys, I'm gonna call it a day there. We hit the 1 hour mark, and it's been great. A lot of things to say about teaching, and I hope you listeners have gotten inspired to teach some more friends the game and bring more people into the community.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a better job trying to use the Gustav and Jonah mechanic of letting people win, play bad on purpose thing. Next time I'm playing, definitely.
Yeah. So thanks a lot for joining us, Gustav, and you too, Adam.
Thanks for having me.
And may the force be with you.